the dead air, selling me peace while my brain runs a marathon on blister feet. So I lace up the rage, pull the fear out the seams, turn the hiss to a hymn, let the real one scream. If you hear
Welcome back to the channel. So we've got some interesting news about a new Dragon Ball game coming this January of 2026. On the Twitter page it says a new Dragon Ball game project will be unveiled this January during the Dragon Ball Genki Damatsuri event in Japan. Now, who knows what game it will be? It might be like a sequel to some previous games, like for instance Xenoverse, because there is rumors about Xenoverse 3 currently. And there's also the possibility that it might be like an old school Budokai game, or like a sequel to Fighter Z, I'm not sure. Or maybe Kakarot's 2, or even imagine if they dropped like a sequel to Sparking Zero, because that also would seem plausible, because they can literally reuse all assets in the game, and just like it's like Xenoverse 1 and 2. They released a year from each other, so that's also a possibility. Nobody thought about that so far. I think I didn't even hear anybody talk about that, but that is also a possibility. It's all open, but leaks you need to take with a grain of salt, because the likelihood of some stuff may be... I can't trust anything currently but the official channels, and the leaks do seem interesting. That's what I can say, but I can't trust it fully. We'll need to see what happens. But if it's... I'm actually waiting for Xenoverse 3 for quite some time, and I wouldn't mind if they fixed up Sparking Zero, because the game has a lot of characters and content, and it would be a waste to see all that thrown down the drain because of lack of other stuff. Like, for instance, a proper story mode, or proper, I don't know, game modes, like for instance the 100 battle versus thing, or something else. Like even like parallel quests in Xenoverse 2 were quite fun. So yeah, we've got this new Dragon Ball game project in January. It's an announcement for an announcement happening in January. And if you look at, like, for instance, release dates, I'm gonna go back to like the first Budokai game. It was yearly at that point. They released sequels, but I think Budokai 3 was quite later. Oh no, it's like 2004. So there was 3 sequels of 3 games, basically the same game but just sequels of each other. Like I said, they could do the same strategy with Sparking Zero, where they take the original assets in the game, improve upon them, and make new game modes, different stuff, like they do with Budokai 1, 2 and 3. Even Tenkaichi, because if you look at like Budokai Tenkaichi, it released in 2005, and Tenkaichi 2 released in 2006. And Tenkaichi 3 in 2007, like 3 sequels of the same game. And yes, that at that point it was easier to create these games. It was faster, because there wasn't as high quality development. But if you look at Sparking Zero's roster, you can see that they definitely should be making sequels of that game, or at least using those assets in something else. Because they poured a lot of money into creating those character 3D model assets, because it's quite expensive to create such high quality assets. So they really, I do think they need to reuse those assets. And then we have like Raging Blast 2 and 1. I think, let me just check. Where is Raging Blast? There it is, 2009, and Raging Blast 2 was 2010. 2 sequels of the, and those games also had the same assets. They literally took Raging Blast 1's assets and put it in Raging Blast 2, created more characters, different characters, and updated a shader model, which I do think Raging Blast 1 had better quality shaders than Raging Blast 2. It looked more anime cel shaded. Now, for instance, if you look at Xenoverse, you have Xenoverse 1 releasing in 2015, Xenoverse 2 releasing in 2016. Yet again, they made sequels. Now, recently, things have gone quite slowly, especially at the pandemic time, because they reused assets from Xenoverse 2 on the Breakers again, and at this point the assets were quite outdated. I'm not gonna lie about that, because for a 2022 game the graphics didn't look as good, so that was an issue. But we got Sparking Zero in 2024, and they had a different studio, which I think it's I can't remember the publisher, but it's a different publisher than usual that released Dragonball Gexin Squadra for this year's game. So each and every year there must be a Dragon Ball game. And for instance, 2023 I think got the PlayStation 5 version, yes, there it is, of Kakarot. So they did drop a game in 2023, it's just the same game on a different platform. They usually do that in years which they are developing, but the games aren't ready yet. For instance, I think they also did the same in like 2017 or something. Xenoverse 2 for Nintendo Switch. So that's also a thing. And they got Dragon Ball Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission X. Well, anyways, what I'm thinking is the leaks from this is like from a guy from France that heard some information about Xenoverse 3, and it is well in development, he states it is. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but hey, if it's true, I'm very glad that Xenoverse is coming. If it's not true, there should be definitely something in the pipeline. Now, the info that he obtained is it's well in development, numerous delays, some aspects have completely redone from scratch. Graphically very beautiful, and a playable version already exists, released in 2027 or 2028. Now, if you look at the last time Dimps made a big game, it should be Xenoverse 2. However, they also did Legends, if I'm correct. They're also the creator of Legends. Just see, I think this is only for consoles. Mobile games. Let's go here. Here's the mobile games. Legends. There we go. Let's open a new tab. The publisher is the developer is Dimps. So they created Legends, and then you need to know about. It's like they also created the Xenoverse series and then the Breakers. But the Breakers weren't a big project. It was a sideline project, in my opinion, because it's also just reusing assets. Where is it? Where's the Breakers? 2022. Here it is. No. For some reason, this link goes to the to this page, which is literally the same page, which is funny. But yeah, I think they also developed the Breakers, Dimps. So they are basically the last game they really developed was in 2022, the Breakers, and then they basically just update a bunch of games, including Xenoverse 2, Legends, and the Breakers. But I do think the Breakers are done for at this point. This game didn't do well, in my opinion. It's still an okay game. It's really not amazing at all. But it was just a title to drop that year, because what happens with Dragon Ball games are Bandai Namco are using different studios to develop the games, and they are responsible for basically publishing it every year. And what they are doing is they are getting 3 or 4 studios working on different projects, because these games usually take between 2 and 5 years of development time. So if you look at 2022 being the last year for the Breakers, it's well possible that they have been working for the last 3 to 4 years on a new project. And if you look at something like Sparking Zero, Dimps or Spike Chunsoft, which was dropped as a developer for quite some time, since Ultimate Tenkaichi, they finally came back with a Jump Force game and then Sparking Zero. So what happens with Sparking Zero is I do think they can reuse those assets for a sequel game, or they can maybe just like update the game like they do with Xenoverse 2, I'm not sure. But the new project should be one of the big studios, but it will take some time. So we might get some other games that aren't major releases in 2026. I'm not sure what it will be, but there might be something, because we already got like Gexin Squadra this year. And the last, let's call it role-playing games, not in a sense of RPG game, but a game that's not a big game, but just a sideline game. The last time that dropped was the Breakers, and before that it was I do think it's like Dragon Ball Heroes. So we got Dragon Ball Heroes in 2019, and now we got Gexin Squadra. But actually, I do think Gexin Squadra is quite fun. It's the first sideline game that's actually quite cool in the last few years, like at least the last 5 or 10 years. So I don't really know what they're gonna do, but if they bring Xenoverse 3 into play, like this guy said, Louis M, it might be releasing in 2027, 2028. But what is going to happen in 2026? Because they also always need to have a game each year. The reason for that is they have a contract stating they should make a game every year. Well, not Bandai, but they need to publish one. So it is plausible to think that we might get a sequel to Sparking Zero, because they're gonna use the same strategy that they do with Xenoverse 1 and 2, dropping a year from each other. But the thing is, Sparking Zero is already a year old, so maybe next year we get something like that, and then 2027, 2028 we get Xenoverse 3. We get totally something random and different. That's also a possibility, because there might be another gap here where we basically just get a game where it's a side game, like a Gexin Squadra. But I really do think we already got something like that, and we need to now get a big game again. But time flies so fast. I'm not sure what studio. Maybe it's something to do with Kakarot. For instance, Kakarot's developer, CyberConnect, last worked on Kakarot, well, the big development, not the DLC. The DLC was also big, but 2020. So they've also been, like, for 5 years only working on DLC, and they might have other games from other projects, but if Bandai are using them for Dragon Ball, they haven't been making something in 5 years. Well, except DLC. But the possibility here is quite interesting. But let's see what happens in January 2026. Maybe we'll be surprised. You never know, maybe they're gonna drop like Budokai 4 or like a Burst Limit 2 type of sequel. Or maybe they're gonna drop something like Raging Blast 3. Which would seem unlikely because Sparking Zero and Raging Blast and Tenkaichi have some very similar aspects. There are differences, especially Raging Blast having slower fighting gaming mechanics as well as some different aspects. But you never know because they have brought back Sparking, and I do think they have seen the success of bringing back old games as sequels. And I do think Sparking Zero lacked a lot, but Sparking Zero also brought a lot on the table, especially the amount of characters and the quality of the graphics, and even the skills you used in the game. Like, everything looks very well done, well done and polished. However, the only thing lacking in Sparking Zero is really customization, because they literally built methods of equipping items in the game and proceeded to not give us anything to equip, except like a few characters, for instance Vegeta of Scouter or Halo of Goku and a few other. But what I would like to see in Sparking Zero, if they update the game or bring DLC, is give us a possibility to choose movesets for the characters. For instance, using skills from Goku early on Goku Med or whatever. Even in the story mode, there's some skills unique to the character which you can't use in the like the normal battle mode. So really they need to just give us those customizations as well as something to do. The biggest thing lacking for Sparking Zero, in my opinion, is accomplishments. If you play the game, there's no purpose of playing it if you don't get something for playing it. And I don't get anything for playing it. It's basically they just give you a rank, and rank is the only thing that they give. What I want from Sparking is also something like, why did they make it so easy to unlock everything? You can just go into the shop, you can play like the one battle with Frieza to get a lot of Zenin. You do it for like 10 times and you unlock the whole game's all the characters. It would have been more fun to go through story mode battles to unlock the characters and then go through some other game modes to unlock costumes and some other game modes to unlock items, and then customize the characters. The game doesn't need custom characters. It's cool, but that's a Xenoverse thing. But what I want is the characters to have customization of their own skills and of their own costumes and stuff like that. As well as there was also a lack of missing stages, like for instance the Mountain Road stage, or Kami's Lookout, or Master Roshi's Island where his house is, space, the underground, that battle with Beerus and Goku. There's this stage in Xenoverse 2. And for instance, stages for GT. There's no stages for GT. There's not. I don't think there's an old school tournament stage. Just a newer type of tournament stage. There's a lot of stages that's not there. And if they can bring those stages in, bring those customization in, and also give us a purpose for playing the game, people would be happier. Now, I don't want them to lock everything behind a you need to play like 100 or 200 hours to unlock everything. For instance, Xenoverse has a lot of work you need to do to get specific items. Like literally, it's gonna be like you need like the what do you call it? It's similar to just in-game medals and stuff like that to unlock the stuff, and that is very hard to get by. So if you play it for a long time, you might get it. But what I want is you just look back at Budokai Tenkaichi 1, 2, and 3, and even Budokai 3, and look at how you unlocked stuff. Because you needed to play the story mode, you get capsules or Potara fusion items, and yeah, that gives you a way to unlock the characters after you've played a specific battle or after you've won a specific battle. And one thing about Budokai 3's unlocking, it also had a shop, but unlocking specific stuff also required you to look for it on that small map world, like fly around the planet. You needed to look for items and all that stuff, so that made it quite interesting. There was a shop indeed, but it wasn't easy to get things from the shop sometimes. So that's one thing about Budokai 3 that's unique. So I really hope they do something for Sparking Zero. Maybe we get like Sparking Zero DLC next year, or we might get a new game. But I really don't know. It seems likely in each case. For instance, Xenoverse 3 should get a game as well. We need to get a new sequel to that game, because the Xenoverse 2 is like getting a decade old at this point, like 10 years. 10 years ago in a few months. So that really seems likely, considering the amount of time, as well as the amount of people who pulled out to get a new Xenoverse game, because there was a trending on Twitter at some point about Xenoverse 3. There was a lot of people talking about we need Xenoverse 3. As well as you look at the game sales, like it passed 10 million fighters, as well as Xenoverse 2 got 10,000 or 10 million sales, and that is good. Whenever a game does well, it incentivizes them to do the exact same thing, just better, or add more content to get more sales, because they need money. That's why they're in business. So good business means sequels in that sense. But it has been some time. We've been waiting a long time for, well, we've waited like what, 18 years for Sparking Zero, and now we've waited 10 years for Xenoverse 2 to get a sequel. So we'll see about that. Well, thank you for watching, and let me know, what do you think will be the next game? Budokai, or new Sparking Zero type of game, or a role-playing game or sideline game type of thing. Maybe a sequel to Kakarot, or something totally different and new you don't think they would do, but they did. Like, for instance, Breakers, or even Gexin Squadra. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next time. Goodbye.
I'm here now. I'm doing the best I can. Where are you now? It's your dreams come true. Here we go. Sparking. Sparking. Does the word peace